Now, the OG Jeromes know that we used to start every video with a sip of coffee. Good times. Maybe we should bring that back. I mean, nostalgia is running wild in the NFL. We got all the throwback uniforms. May as well do some throwbacks for the videos. But happy Monday. Vikings rookies and select veterans and quarterbacks reported on Sunday, and the rest of the crew is going to be reporting Monday, Tuesday. First full team practice is on Wednesday. Training camp is here, babe. So we have 10 hot fire training camp predictions for the Vikings, all including rookies or young players. So we'll do that up. So young guys looking to make a name for themselves. Number one, enhance. There we go. Jordan Addison stays out of trouble, lights it up. Now, the whole thing about going a buck 40 into 55, it's not good. And here's what's interesting. Yes, everyone speeds and whatever, but people are trying to write it off as like, oh, I speed all the time. It's not a big deal. There's a difference between getting a ticket going 72 in a 55 versus going 140, but whatever. Anyways, Addison, I think that this was a perfect spot for him to humble himself a little bit, and the fact that he was up on blocks throughout OTAs and minicamp and didn't really do much outside of rookie camp. Now he has this opportunity to silence all the haters and the losers, all the doubters, everyone who said, let's get paid. Poo-pooed on that. He has a chance to come in against solid competition in training camp, in joint practices, in preseason, and just really show why he was a first-round pick and why he should have been the first receiver taken, because I think that he has a beautiful opportunity here. Keenan McCardle is one of the best wide receiver coaches in the business. JJ's the wide receiver one in the league. You can learn from him either directly or by example. KJ is a pro's pro as well, so I think that Addison has a chance to come in and completely just tear things up. Also, wouldn't it be ironic if he got 140 targets? Which would be pretty good. That'll put him about like, what, 15th in the league? Sure. Number two, Jaquille Roy wins a starting gig. Now, Jaquille was getting run with the ones at the end of mandatory minicamp, which is certainly promising, and he's a guy who came in as a true junior, has man-sized strength, love his upper body, love his hands, needs to work on the lower body a little bit and playing with leverage, but I think that he comes in and wins one of the starting 5-tech spots. I do think Harrison Phillips is probably still going to be on the nose for all intents and purposes. I think Kyrus Tonga is going to get some work in there as well, but I do think Jaquille Roy will beat out Jonathan Bullard and Blacklock and James Lynch and Asazi, even though I think Otomo is going to be in the rotation as well. Dean Lowry is probably going to start at the other defensive end spot, but I think Jaquille Roy is going to make himself very familiar with the lineup early and often, man. Next up, number 3. Dwayne McBride earns running back 2B. Now, I'm not ready to say that he's going to be running back 2 because I think Ty Chandler is going to come in and have himself a camp because he was a preseason superstar last year. But I think Dwayne McBride just has a really good sense of running the football, and I think that he runs with great patience. I think he's got great vision and agility. I think that he breaks tackles and he doesn't really go down. He's not the fastest guy in the world, which is ironic since he played for the Blazers of UAB, but I think that he is going to muscle his way in. He's going to get some early down work. Maybe he's a little Tyler Algier-ish as a rookie. Maybe he doesn't go for 1K, but I think that Ty Chandler will be running back 2A, and Dwayne McBride will be running back 2B. Madison obviously is the lead dog, and Kinkene. I think Kinkene is a fantastic kick returner. For my money, one of the best, if not the best kick returner in the league. But I don't know. I think as a running back, I think Chandler and McBride will be slightly ahead of him. Next up, hot fire prediction number 4 for young players. Ivan Pace Jr. becomes linebacker 3. Now, this one seems like a pretty easy putt where, I mean, the competition he has. So Oswald and Hicks are going to start. And the rest of the competition at off-ball is Troy Dye, Quenku, Troy Reeder, and then 2 other UDFAs, including one of his college teammates. But I think Ivan Pace Jr. is going to come in with his energy, his nose for the football, and just be that dude. And now it can be kind of tough for linebackers to make a name for themselves in, especially in training camp, where even when they're in full pads, generally you're not tackling to the ground. But I think the fact that he's always going to be Johnny on the spot, I think that he's also going to be used in a lot of floors as blitz packages. I think that he's really going to make an impression early and often. And of course, once you get to preseason games, be firing that gap. Let's go. Let's go, man. Next up, hot fire prediction number 5. Tristan Jackson earns a wide receiver 5 spot. Now, for my money, I think Jalen Speedy Naylor is going to be a wide receiver 4. I think Jalen Reagor, even though the 4th year of his contract is fully guaranteed, I think that he may be playing elsewhere. Maybe the Vikings carry 6 wide receivers. Who really knows? But I think Jackson, who himself did look good during OTAs and minicamp, I think that he works his way in. He's sort of been the dark horse for a number of seasons. He's 25 years young, formerly Michigan State as well as Syracuse, 6'1", $191. He was a 2020 UDFA by the Rams, so familiarity with Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. Came over to the Vikings in 2021 and has been here for the last 3 seasons. And I think that he is going to impress. I think that he's going to work his way up and earn himself a 53-man rooster spot and then go from there. Next up, hot fire prediction number 6 for the Vikings young players. 1, Seth Johnson III, Taysom Hill play. Now, Seth Johnson III is a really interesting dude where he's 6'5", he's 220. He was a quarterback at Southeast Louisiana, and he's a hell of an athlete. Like, he's got great size. He's got some decent speed. Also played some wide receiver in college. But I just knowing the way that Kevin O'Connell's mind works, I could just see one play where I fully understand that reps are very important in training camp because they're very limited. But even though Seth Johnson is going to be a 3rd-team wide receiver at best and probably going to be a practice squad wide receiver at best, I think we're just going to see one play. I think we're just going to see one play, probably with the 3rd-team offense, where he's under center and he has an option where he can run, maybe he could throw, or a shotgun. We'll do the whole Wildcat thing. Doesn't matter, man. But I think we're going to see one fun Taysom Hill play from Seth Johnson III. Next up, hot fire prediction number 7. Scene makes most of first-team reps. Now, throughout OTAs and mandatory minicamp, the Vikings have been taking it very slow with Lewis Scene. The starting safeties have been Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, Josh Metellus, been playing that nebulous linebacker safety role, basically a starter. But we know from Kevin O'Connell, he loves resting his veterans. Harrison's obviously going to get a lot of days off during training camp as well as joint practice, and he probably won't even play any preseason games. So Lewis Scene is going to get some work there, and I think that his skill set most overlaps with Harrison Smith. I think Scene, I mean, that leg is healthy, plus players hear all the chatter. Like, they hear it through the media, they feel it through social media. Like Lewis Scene understands that a lot of Vikings fans do see him as a bust, even though I certainly don't see it that way. Even though he got hurt because, you can't beat Cameron Bynum in training camp. They play 2 different positions, as well as Lewis Scene was hurt during training camp. So whatever there. But I do think that Lewis Scene is going to come in. And obviously, you're not going to light up your teammates, but I think that, especially since Harrison Smith is probably not going to play in preseason or he'll be very limited, I think that Lewis Scene is going to rock someone's world. I think he's going to come in, make a statement, and prove why he was the crown jewel of that great Georgia defense from 2021. Next up, hot fire prediction number 8. Ed Ingram becomes a wall. Now, Ed Ingram was not good last year. Gave up a ton of pressures. He was solid in the run game, which is very interesting because his scouting report coming in from LSU was he was sort of shoddy against the run, sort of a bit of a plotter. They didn't know if he could fit into outside zone, and he was great in pass protection. But in the NFL, that completely flipped. But it is really good that he got his ish together, and he's not a liability, and the Vikings still running primarily outside zone. But he's got a great anchor. He also run blocks great in power and gap. And if he can just get the speed of the game under control, which I think that he could. I think that he is going to become a decent pass blocking guard, and I think he's going to be a solid all-around starter. There's a reason why the Vikings invested a second-round pick in him. There's a reason why he won the right guard job last year over guys like Jesse Davis as well as Chris Reed, and there's a reason why he played every single snap last year. And I think that through all of that attrition and as well as another year of continuity, I think that Ed Ingram is going to get together in year 2. Next up, hot fire prediction number 9. Jaron Hall lights up the preseason. That's right, man. So everyone loves us some Jaron Hall. He is the 5th-round pick coming out of BYU. All of the Russell Wilson comparisons are there. He's 6 foot, former baseball player. He's got a great deep ball, a great leader as well. I think he's going to come in and he's going to complete like 70% of his passes in preseason. I think he's going to operate the offense well. I think he'll skedaddle for a couple of yards on the ground as well. And I think that he'll uncork some bombs, man. He'll just completely show off that arm, hitting Jalen Speedy Naylor or Knowles or Johnson or Jackson on bang 8s or 9 routes. It's going to be good. Lastly, hot fire prediction number 10 for the Vikings young players. Too many good young corners. It's a good problem to have, man. Now, cornerback, there's a lot of questions, and the Vikings, they churned and burned. They let go of Patrick Peterson. That got rid of Cameron Tiny Dantzler. They didn't re-sign Sean Sullivan or Duke Shelley. So their top 4 corners from last year, they gone. But Byron Murphy was a fantastic signing, and I do think that Mekhi Blackman is going to be a starter out of the gates week 1. And then Evans and Booth, as well as Jawan Williams and maybe some Kalon Barnes in there. I think everyone steps up their game. I think that they're going to be solid 1 through 6 or 1 through 7, depending on how many corners they keep on the practice squad. And what was seen as a weakness or big-time question marks turns into a strength of the Vikings. I think Evans getting his tackling technique right will help keep him away from concussions. I think Booth will knock on all the wood, get some health luck for a change. I think Jawan Williams, given his length, brings a unique spice to the Vikings secondary, and I think Murphy's going to be solid all the way around. So all of a sudden, when the Vikings have a pass rush, and guess what? That secondary, especially that cornerback room, starts looking pretty solid, man. But that's it. That's 10. 10 hot fire young Vikings training camp predictions. It's wordy. Whatever. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol Production Value.